Welcome back to the Alchemical Life Podcast. This is a podcast that redefines transformation to help athletes prevent injury, improve performance, and achieve more in both sport and life. And it is your host, Abigail Crowe, and I'm very excited to be sitting with you all today because I am low energy today, so I think this fits the topic that I wanted to talk about pretty well, my somber energy. And today I wanted to talk about something that I have been a little afraid to talk about for some time. I don't talk about it much at all, let alone on a podcast for essentially anybody and their mom to listen to. And that is my struggles with fitness and the, in quote, dark side of fitness. Fitness has given me training, working out, exercise has given me everything. And it has been single-handedly the most meaningful thing in my life. And also it has really pushed and prodded at me and all of my insecurities and all of my flaws. And I think that's part of its greatness. But there are definitely some dark aspects to fitness. I wanted to get into them. I don't know if anyone will relate to this or not, but I'm just going to sort of start talking and see what comes out. I have a very rough draft as to what I want to speak on today. And so I'm just going to go for it and just put it out into the universe. So I got into fitness because I was always a really active kid. I was always a very highly neurotic kid. I always say I'm thankful that my mom is a hippie because I would probably be a very heavily medicated kid otherwise. I definitely by today's standards would have been ADHD, OCD, anxiety, depression, so many things I would have been medicated for. So definitely a highly neurotic kid growing up. I had just endless energy, couldn't sit still. I couldn't watch movies with my family because I was constantly bouncing around. It was very normal for me to work on 3 different homework assignments at once, and I would go out and play, and I could play for hours, and I was very, in some ways, had a lot of big feelings, didn't know what to do with them, so I would also rage when I was a kid, and I was very much a perfectionist type A. I was the kid that would write a sentence, erase the sentence, rewrite it until it looked, erase it, rewrite it until it looked perfect. I was for somebody who was very high energy, still also very in my head, lots of crazy constant thoughts in my head, ruminating thoughts, just all kinds of stuff going on in my brain. And I was definitely a very anxious kid. I didn't realize what anxiety was until middle school. And I just thought that, having stomach aches that made you want to throw up every day going to school was normal. And that, by 10 a.m. they would wear off and that was normal. And I thought that crying over tests and taking tests and stuff was just normal. This was just a normal part of my day in existence, was just operating at a very high level of shit is gonna hit the fan, and I thought that was normal, and I suppose it was to me. And so when I found exercise, which I had kind of done my whole life, it was not necessarily a safe space for me. It was just a place where I could get away from myself a little bit. The saying that resonates with me very deeply is, exhaust the body, calm the mind. Very, very real for me. And so I got into several sports and I couldn't really stick with anything. And finally in high school, I'm doing track and I'm trying to stay in shape after my freshman year of high school for track. And so I go with my mom and join these group fitness classes, and I became obsessed. I absolutely love them. Ever since, I stuck with working out was just my thing, lifting, anything related to training. It was so interesting to me. I could have given a shit less about track. I actually wish I had given more of a shit about track now looking back and training the way I'm training now. And track taught me my own, it taught me other things as well. That's for another podcast. But training was an escape for me, and it was also an area of control because I could through effort, essentially manipulate the way that I looked. And so I was not just a highly anxious kid, I was a highly insecure kid. And when I started lifting, it was like, oh, I can lift more and my muscles look good, and I can have abs, and I feel more confident this way. And so I it was a no-brainer. I just became obsessed with working out to the point where I would work out 14 times a week, and then I would do 30 minutes of core, and I would eat like a salad and a protein shake, just because, not even because I was trying to gain muscle, but I was trying to gain muscle, but I think I was so busy working out that you don't have an appetite to eat because I was so obsessed with training. And so it was this mix of, one, I'm so anxious all the time, and when I work out, I feel satisfied, my body's tired, my brain it can't spin and go out of control as much. And two, I can also gain confidence and start looking the way that I want, and, start presenting myself the way that I feel more confident to other people. I felt in control. And the great part about fitness is those are not necessarily negative things. Like, you can take a break, you release positive endorphins, you're, creating a healthy body, a resilient body, you're gaining muscle. This is all good stuff, like you can gain confidence. All of these things are good, but there's always the pendulum always can swing to the other side. And in a world that is on average quite unhealthy, no one really, hardly anyone, is going to tell you to stop training. No one's going to tell you that you are too lean. No one is going to tell you, no one's going to monitor your day enough to see that you're not eating enough. And it actually got so bad that there became a point in which people did start making comments about not necessarily how lean I was, but just, like, that's all you're eating, or dude, like, you're working out way too much. I had trainers who I would go to those classes. They would tell me to go the fuck home and like chill and go to bed. And I didn't know, like, the concepts that I know now about, the importance of recovery and like injury prevention and stuff. Half the reason I'm so passionate about it now is because I was a victim of being under recovered, overtraining, doing too much, hurting myself, whatever. And it's also interesting because the more that you work out, the more the needle that the finish line, like the more the finish line of your physique, and, I'm going to be confident when I have this, and I'm going to work toward this. It's the more the finish line moves. It's like a finish line that's you never cross it. And so I would continue to work out, and then I would reach this goal that I had in my brain, that when I finally had it, my brain was like, that's not it. There's another thing. And so I became even more insecure because all of the work that I did was all of a sudden just not enough. So I would do more, or I would just beat myself up, or I would walk around with this false confidence. Like I was secure, but really wasn't. I was constantly analyzing myself. And it really becomes this form of narcissism, if I'm being honest with you all, and my mom pointed it out one day, because I was looking in the mirror and I was talking about everything that was wrong with myself. All of these things that were just so ugly about me, and this needs to be better, and this needs to be better. And she said something along the lines of, for somebody who's really insecure, you're quite into yourself. And I was like, what? There's no way. Like, did you not just hear me tell you about everything that I found wrong with myself? She was like, yeah, but you have to spend quite a bit of time analyzing yourself in order to find all these things wrong. It was probably one of the most wise things she'd ever said to me, because I never forgot it. And I realized in that moment, oh my God, I am a selfish bitch. And all I can do is focus on me and, everything with me. whether it's everything good about me or everything bad about me, it's always about me. And it's interesting because now, jumping forward, obviously these things are still things that, are an occasional struggle, but I have come a long way in understanding the power of service and giving, and not in the sense of, oh, now I'm not focused on me, and I'm so amazing and whatever, and it just, giving is so good. It's like I can get outside of myself. Like when I serve other people and when I give and when I focus on performance, or when I focus on something that has a little bit less to do with me and a little bit more to do on others, or a goal, like a numerical goal, I can get a little bit outside of myself, and I can have more confidence in myself in that, which is I'm more than just this delusional picture of what I should look like in my brain that actually doesn't exist or will never exist. And I'm jumping a little bit ahead of myself, because the ultimate conclusion is that your security is really going to lie more in your character and who you are than how you look. But it's to say that and to believe it and to act it, and then they're all like, those are all very different things. So, long term, or down the line, as I continued to train, I started fighting even more for control and for this look, for this goal, for this idea of what I should be and who I should become. Because then I started to build an identity around training. Abigail's the girl that works hard. Abigail's the girl that's super lean. Abigail's the girl that just works out like a beast. She's such a beast. Like, she just suffers all the time. And so I'm like, okay, all right, I'm just the girl that suffers. Like, I can handle anything. I'm just the girl that fucking suffers all the time. And so my identity now became, you're the girl that works hard. So you can't ever rest. And you have to look good doing it too. And so I fought for control in my training. I became obsessed with thinking about it. It was like this, whatever little OCD tendencies I had as a kid that I would fixate on and ruminate on, the ruminating thoughts. Like, there are a few other things, but we don't need to go into that. Just some stuff when I was a kid. It was like training and exercise and nutrition was just, it lit the fire for whatever hyperfixated thought loops I could possibly have. And so it was all day. Like, my brain would go all day. I could have conversations, but my brain was still spinning of like what to eat and when to train and how hard. And oh my God, I couldn't make training, so how to make this work. And it was like this endless thing of like, what if, and it would reiterate itself. Or if I couldn't do something and something didn't go according to plan, my brain would have to remap out and go through like 1,000 different other loops to continue to fight for control over what the plan was and how I was going to accomplish it. And it is its own version of hell. It's completely and utterly exhausting. It's also quite pointless, and it's terrible. And so whenever I was in the middle of some kind of loop, it was like there was no escaping it. I couldn't even, sometimes I'd be in the middle of a loop while I'm training. So I'm literally doing the thing that I said in my loop that I was doing, and I would still be in the middle of it. And it doesn't make any sense, except to the people it does, but it is hell. It's horrible. It actually would impede on my training sessions, and it would create a lot of anxiety around my training sessions, which would then make everything way worse. So it would just positively reinforce the shittiness of what my brain was going through. And I think the obsession thing is something that a lot of people can fall prey to, which is this idea that, no, I'm just really dedicated to what I'm doing. And there's a very fine line between dedication and obsession. And I'm not saying that obsession is necessarily a horrible thing. Like, there are a lot of really incredible, successful people that are, they have almost mastered the art of obsession and just completely dominated whatever field that they're in. But obsession did not look look good on me. It didn't wear well on me, and it's definitely not something that I have entirely mastered yet. And so training is obviously not something that I am ever willing to give up. I love training. I love what it does for me. It is my job, and I train a lot of, it's my clients are like everything. I am in some ways still very obsessed with what I do and the learning process, but I've become a lot more obsessed with the learning and the service to my clients and a lot less obsessed with, what I'm doing with myself. And I treat what I do with myself more like play and fun and that kind of thing. So, with the obsession, yeah, my brain kind of always continued to spiral into this idea that at the end of the day, more training equals this is fine, and less food equals this is fine. And that was a hard thing to unlearn. And I wanted to go through these things because I don't know if anybody else can relate to the exhaustion, the anxiety, the dread maybe placed around training and fitness, and the expectations that social media or yourself or your parents or your friends or whatever that have, or you think that they have for you in whatever you're doing. But I feel you, and I'm there. I've been there, and it's probably not the last time that I'll probably be there again at some point. And managing it has become, through time, much, much easier. And there are a few tools that I have utilized to help me. So I'm going to share them because I'm presenting you with all the dangers and the bullshit of fitness. And I don't want to discourage anybody from working out or getting into fitness because it's an incredible thing. Again, it's the most meaningful thing that I've done. And it's so incredible that even with some of the bullshit that it's provided my life, I absolutely love it. I will, I'll never give it up, and I'll continue to do it until I die. So there are things that I've done and incorporated in my life that have helped me a lot. One is actually getting a coach. I know that this is, if everyone's like, oh, okay, she's a coach, she's going to say getting a coach. But really, though, seriously, having somebody who's not in your brain, they are a lot more unbiased when it comes to training. They can keep you on the path. So when you feel like you're going a little crazy, especially if you hire a good coach, they know you and they know the plan, and they're going to make sure that you in particular adhere to it, and you do it in a way that's not going to drive you crazy, and you're still going to reach your goals and enjoy it in the process. So getting a coach is really helpful. Meditation has been really, really powerful for me. Just generating awareness in the moment, like being able to be present. And meditation doesn't have to look like sitting and doing breath work for 5 to 15 minutes to an hour, whatever. It can look like doing yoga. It can look like just sitting outside and observing what's going on outside. It can be going on a walk. It can be prayer. It can be giving somebody a really long hug. Really, honestly, just being able to generate awareness and presence. That is truly what meditation is awareness. Even if it's awareness of the fact that you feel like you're not aware. That is awareness. That is meditation. So meditation has been huge, huge for me. Just working on myself. So reading books and doing the actual work, like reading the books, giving myself homework, and doing the work. So always operating with integrity, always operating in service, always acting in accordance with the person that I would like to become, and always kind of moving through my day as if someone that I respect is watching me. And at this point, I'm a lot more proud to say that person is usually me watching me, just like, hey, Abigail, like, just because no one else is here doesn't mean that, like, I know you didn't do it, or I know you did do it. I know, like, I see you. So just because there's not another soul here watching you, fail in this area doesn't mean, or fall short in this area doesn't mean that you didn't. So working on myself, spending time with others has been huge. allowing quality relationships with other people, building very good, solid relationships with other people and nourishing those relationships and doing the work to nourish those relationships, giving all the time, to them, spending time with them. There was a big period of time where I was quite isolated, and I think that I needed to go through that period. And I still really enjoy and value my alone time, but I also really, really value time with others and community with others and the people that I love and care for. So that helps a lot because it helps you, again, get a little bit more outside of yourself and connecting with others. It's just human. It's the part of the human experience, and it's one of the most beautiful parts of the human experience. So good to do. Again, that's a lot of reason why I think people get into fitness is because of community. So time with others is a huge one. I say service, but service is the biggest one. Finding a way in which you really enjoy serving people, others, whether it's your job, a side passion project, a hobby, just something that you do in your free time, church, like whatever it is, just service to others is bar none the number one thing that has helped me get outside of my crazy brain and the obsession brain and the me, and the I'm not doing enough and I'm doing too much and whatever. It just is like, it's the equivalent of the exhausted body, calm the mind. It has that same effect of just whoosh, like you're here now with other people, focusing on other people, doing something that has nothing to freaking do with you. And that's the best thing for you. So service is huge. And then the last two are ones that are foundational for me, and they might not be as helpful for others, but they've been extremely, extremely helpful for me. The first one that I do recommend I recommend both to everyone, is approaching the gym from the perspective of performance and longevity and not looks. I actually found that when I could approach going to the gym and training hard, it's not like you're not training hard. I'm still training really hard, but from a perspective of performance and being able to do it forever, I actually started looking my best. I started looking, I was really lean, really strong, gained a lot of muscle. And I also enjoyed my training so much because I wasn't trying to get a pump or, look a certain way or, measure the size of my glutes every month or whatever. It's just like, man, I set a goal to PR on back squat, and at the end of 8 weeks I did. I added 20 pounds to my back squat. It's awesome. Or, I set a goal to train for this 10K and hit a sub 50, and I actually did that like less than 2 weeks ago. I hit a 48:22 50K. Jesus Christ. 10K. And as far as the last thing goes, the last element of assist in terms of getting out of my brain is journaling. This has been for me, the most helpful thing, to be able to write things down. I think that even when I'm talking to myself, my words will legitimately get caught in my throat and I feel like I cannot speak. And when I write, I feel like everything that I've been thinking and everything that I've been truly wanting to say is released from my body. It feels like this cathartic purging of my emotions and what's been going on in my heart and my soul. So journaling it also is cool to look back on and to read and see growth, to maybe see patterns, to recognize recurring issues, and also I think just to generate more awareness, again, about your day, to be able to reflect a little bit, to get some feelings and thoughts out, and then to move on and to continue to be in the present. When I could journal and I could write about exactly how I felt like some of the loop in my brain was severed. It was like I could breathe for a second and I could just sort of let it go. I could just let it go. So that has been my struggle, my dark side of fitness, and I am not sure how helpful this will be to other people, but that's kind of my very summarized story of, the past 10 years of my life and training and fitness. And again, I absolutely love it. I wouldn't change anything. I think that training has been the most powerful an incredible experience in my life, and being able to work with clients and being a coach has been the most impactful thing in my life. I probably wouldn't be here today if I didn't have my clients. So, and if I didn't have training. So I'm very thankful for it, and I encourage it for everybody, but those have been the areas of struggle for me. So, on this somber podcast and note, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Being this vulnerable on a podcast is like my worst nightmare. I will be back next week, and we'll have a little bit more of some lighthearted stuff. We got Q&As coming up. We're going to talk a little bit more about when to take a rest day. We're going to talk a little bit more about, instabilities, why you're not tight. You just got some instabilities going on, why that is. Some warm-up protocols for endurance athletes. And then also on the lookout, we got some guests coming on. Dr. Haley's coming on. My friend Veronica's coming on. So we'll see who else I can drag on. I'm going to probably drag some clients on the podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. Oh, subscribe and like this, please. And if you're listening to it, then leave a 5-star review. Bye.